Hi, I'm Dr. Cindy Meston. Welcome to the Sexual Psychophysiology Laboratory. Let me take you on a little tour. So this is our reception area where we have our participants wait until they are about to begin whatever study they have kindly volunteered to take part in. Over here we actually have our Wall of Fame, where each year we give an award to the research assistant who has contributed the most to our laboratory. In this room is where we normally have our research assistants working away like crazy. We have anywhere from about 10 to 15 research assistants in our lab at any given time, and they do all sorts of things. They take part in data collection, data entry, sometimes they even help run participants, sometimes when they've been in the lab for a long enough time and contributed to enough research that they actually come with us to conferences and give professional presentations with us. So that's always kind of fun. We have two rooms for graduate students. This is one right here where depending on how many graduate students I have at the moment, anywhere from 2 to 4 students are have their offices in here. Okay, the second graduate student office is right here, and because we have enough space, we kind of reserve this office for the most senior graduate student at the moment, so they have lots of privacy to work hard at their dissertation. And then I will show you our testing rooms. So we have, this is a room where we sometimes do focus group research. This is where we hold a lot of our lab meetings. We use it as a second psychophys room if needed. And sometimes this is where participants will be able to fill out questionnaire information in the privacy of the internally locked room. Okay, and our main testing room is over here. This is where we do most of our psychophys studies. So the woman is seated comfortably in the chair. We'll explain in a moment how the equipment works, but basically she's seated. She indicates her level of sexual arousal using what we refer to as an arousometer. Across from her is the television where we display the erotic stimuli, and we're able to communicate through the intercom system to the room next door where we take the psychophysiological signals. So let's take a look at that and see what we do over there.
Hi, my name is Bridget Freihart, and I'm a graduate student in Dr. Meston's lab. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some of our testing procedures for our psychophysiological studies of female sexual arousal. As Dr. Meston just showed you, the testing room that you previously saw is where our participants will come in and give a range of measures of different physiological cues, generally as they're watching some films that are displaying erotic content to stimulate arousal. Now, we are actually playing those videos from in here so that our participants have total privacy while they're viewing this content and giving these cues. We want to make sure that they're able to view this material in a way that makes them feel as comfortable and with as much privacy as possible. On these computers, we're actually getting the data on the back end. So all we're seeing on our end is different cardiac and genital arousal measures, giving us a sense of how the participants are responding to the content that we're showing them. Why don't we take a look over in the testing room, and we can talk a bit more about each of the testing equipment pieces that we have and how they work.
Hi, I'm Courtney Crosby, a graduate student in Dr. Cindy Meston's lab, and today I'm going to show you some of the equipment that we use to measure physiological or psychological arousal within our laboratory. So this is the arousometer, and the way that it works is that when participants are in our lab and watching erotic films, we ask them to place their hand on the arousometer and to slide it up or down to indicate their level of mental sexual arousal. And this ranges anywhere from 0, which is no mental sexual arousal, all the way to 7, which indicates high levels of mental sexual arousal. And here we have some of the equipment that we use in the lab to measure physiological sexual arousal. For women, we have the vaginal photoplethysmograph, graph, and the way that it works is that we ask women to insert this into the vagina and hold it in place with a placeholder. And we ask them to do this in a way where the black square is facing up towards the navel. And the way that the photoplethysmograph works is that when women become more sexually aroused, more blood flows into the vaginal walls, and more light is reflected through this black square, giving us an index of how physiologically aroused they are. And here we have the penile strain gauge. And the way that this works is that in states of non-arousal, we have male participants place this copper wire around the base of the penis. And as they become more sexually aroused, more blood flows into the penis, and more strain is placed on this gauge, giving us an index of how physiologically sexually aroused they are.
The autonomic nervous system has been shown to be very critical in sexual function. And so because of that, when we are conducting studies in our lab, it's really important that we get a range of cardiac measures from which we can extract various measures of sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system activity. To do that, we have a couple different options. One is electrocardiography. So this is one approach that we can use in the lab that gives us a sense of the wave coming in from the heart. From that, we can extract a couple of really important metrics, one of them being heart rate variability. More or less, we're getting on the back end data that suggests how long each interbeat interval is in between each successive heartbeat. We then take each of those interbeat intervals over a period of, say, 5 minutes, take the standard deviation. That gives us some information of the relative balance of the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. Generally, people who have higher levels of sexual function also tend to have greater levels of heart rate variability. They're able to respond flexibly to demands that come from their environment. So they're able to shift from parasympathetic to sympathetic nervous system activity relatively flexibly. Now, recently we have begun to conduct more ambulatory studies, meaning at home. So people can give us this cardiac data in a more private location. To do that, we use impedance cardiography, which is largely located in devices like heart rate straps. So participants can take these home, they attach them at the base of the chest, at the base of the sternum, and just connect to an app that will give us data directly on our end, and that's how we can get some of this